Now, between January and May this year, more than 1,000 people have died in road crashes across the country. That's according to provisional figures from the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service. In our latest Hotline documentary, JoyNews' Adelaide Arthur shares harrowing stories of road accident victims and their families who will have to live with the painful memories and scars for life.
Priscilla Affle was only 33 years old. It was supposed to have been a short working visit to Kumasi. Sadly, when she was returning to Accra, her life was snuffed out before she could reach her destination. On the afternoon of January 25, a cargo truck hit the side of an Accra-bound bus operated by transport service company VIP. The deadly crash occurred near Tichamante on the Accra-Kumasi highway in the eastern region. 10 people reportedly died on the spot. Priscilla and her son were said to be among those who died instantly. Far away in Australia, the terrible news reached Priscilla's husband, Festus Kobina Affle.
When finally news broke that they had passed on, initially I wanted to just restrain myself. I was alone in the living room, and I was trying to just keep my composure. But as hard as I tried, I couldn't control myself. It was so difficult trying to actually come to terms, because people that you have spoken with less than 24 hours, you only hear that they are no more. And you know, it was very difficult. For the little boy, he was yet to be 2 years, but I remember the last few moments that I spoke with him. I actually saw a sense of life in that little boy, a sense of bright future in him. But ultimately, God, who knows everything, did not allow him to live to see all those wonderful things that I had seen in him.
Luckily, some victims of road accidents survived to tell harrowing tales. 33-year-old Yasewa is also nursing severe wounds at her back and around her stomach. The mother of 4 was trapped under a vehicle when a loaded tricycle she was traveling in collided with a minivan at Bonre Ebra in the Ashanti region. She had her 8-month-old baby with her when the accident occurred.
It's you cry do baby ya do ya promo ayi. It's media ma won hwe to mesi ye de ma won hwe nti me nua na wote meneti ayi ne so no on na ye se ka na ye se no wo ja no kwen no be fa ye kwen.
We were close to our destination when the accident occurred. I have no idea how it happened. My sister, with whom I was traveling, said the oncoming vehicle veered into our lane. My baby and I ended up under the vehicle after it crashed into our tricycle.
Definitely a very painful narration to listen to. We've got road safety expert Dr. Godfred Achia Dakwa in the studio for a discussion. Many thanks for your time, Dr. Dakwa. Now, we are seeing very, very worrying and disturbing statistics of fatalities on our roads. What can we do to really reduce these average deaths of 2,000 persons yearly?
The solution is there. We have the solution. Researchers upon researchers have shown it, but we are just left with the implementation. Simple put. But thank God, now road safety has hit the nail right on the head. We get there.
What are these solutions that you say we have but are not implemented?
There are about 5 shades of causes of road crashes, and that has been there. The road engineering, the vehicle engineering, then we talk about the human aspect of it. Then we talk about the after crash events, that the national ambulance services and all that. Then we have the other factors. Now, with all these factors that contribute to these crashes, in fact, a crash, it happens because of multiple factors. But principally among them, and all research has shown that 94% of all crashes are attributable to the human, and principally the driver, who is the main actor of the whole thing. So, if we have found out and have identified that the driver is the problem, what do we do? The driver is a human being. If the human being is not well, he goes and see the medical officer. If the vehicle is not well, we go and see an engineer, a mechanic, or call it a fitter. Then he fixes it. If the road is not good, we call the what? The contractor. If the driver is so not well in terms of his mind, causing all this carnage on our road, what do we need to do? It means that we look at what is the cause. But why should a human being behave the way he does? And we have found out that it is what? The attitude and the behavior of the driver. And that attitude is a composition of so many things. His psychic. In fact, I've done some model here when we get there, we'll talk about it. That you look at the driver's even background, the socio-psycho background of the driver. Then we look at what? His attitude in terms of education. All things being equal, the higher one is educated, the lesser is involving himself in risky behaviors. All things being equal. And it's shown everywhere in the world. When people are so much educated, risks of death, risk of injury is reduced. So until we all agree that road safety education of the human being called Mr. Driver is taken with all seriousness that it deserves, road accident will continue to be the way it is. So we need to handle the drivers and handle their education. And that is, for me, that's the bedrock of this option.
And now the National Road Safety Commission is saying they're going to organize refresher courses for these drivers. Do you think that is going to work? Will it help?
One, refresher courses are part of education. But you know, in education, we have education and training. Now, driving is a skill. But you know, for every skill to yield a desired result, has to go through the 3 phases of Bloom's taxonomy learning domain, which talks about the cognitive development, it talks about the affective aspect, and it talks about the skill. Now, if the refresher course is going to center only on the skill, it will not go to yield any results. You should have the composition of what? The cognitive aspect. You have the composition of what? The affective aspect. Then it yields, or it will yield the desired skills that require for a driver to avoid air crashes, those crashes. So, if it is the training should be looked at. I have advocated for so long that the training model, the syllabus that we used to train drivers in Ghana and for that matter West Africa should be looked at.
When you say drivers, do you mean commercial or every driver?
The commercial drivers were most culpable, but the corporate drivers have added up. And the private drivers, we have different categories of drivers that we can say. We have the commercial drivers, those who drive vehicles to end reward and that kind of things. And then we have the corporate drivers, those who drive the organizations for their salaries. And then we have the private drivers like you and me, who are self-drives. We have our own vehicles and drive. But you see, after the 2015, when the Corvette with the World Bank and Government of Ghana came together to train about 40,000 commercial drivers, road accident received the lowest ever crash statistics ever.
That
for
was
the past
in 2015.
40,000 drivers were trained. And what happened was that the training that they gave was that training that conforms to the Bloom's taxonomy learning domain. As a result, yielded results. Now, but it was only commercial people who were selected. So if you select only commercial drivers to train, and we leave the corporate drivers, and we leave the private drivers, we are not doing much. That is why with the commercial drivers it's compulsory. When you look at the airline, the 2180, it makes it mandatory on the section 125, subsection 2. It's so clear that every driver who is a commercial driver, if he's going to renew his license, he should produce a certificate of competences from an approved driving institution, from the DVLA and the National Road Safety Commission. Then if that person has done that and is issued the certificate, then the person should go for license renewal. That will permit the person to drive.
But we don't do that.
We don't do that. We have never done it. And this is what National Road Safety is doing now. They said they want to do the refresher course. But my point is, we have to interrogate the refresher program.
All right, but the National Road Safety Commission has also blamed blatant disregard for safety on the absence of transport regulators. Now, do you think having a regulator will ensure transport operators do the right thing or adhere to the highest safety standards?
It is long overdue. When you go to the marine, they have. The marine industry, they have. When you go to the aviation industry, they have. Why are we leaving out the road industry? When you bring all the marine crashes, and then bring all the aviation crises together, their total number of casualties or deaths that they record in a year are far, far below that is recorded in road safety.
No, but someone will say that, for example, many more people use the roads than they use the seas or the air.
So that is why the regulator should have done yesterday. That rules the regulatory body. That will ensure that what is specified in the law is strictly applied to or applied by. Now, the regulator also makes sure that people who are uncovered, there are so many uncovered people on our road. There are so many people who are even mates and are driving these vehicles, articulators and all that. Regulators will make sure that they have the enforcement agencies on the road to help either the DVLA or the MTTD to work together to try to bring these people to book. So it's necessary.
Listening to you feels as if it's a hopeless situation, is it?
If nothing is done, if we don't get proper training for the drivers across board, making it mandatory, compulsory, that every year each driver must go to not at least one training program in a year. And then two, having a regulatory, when we have this regulatory body, and we make sure that the regulatory body ensures that DVLA licenses people or renew the license of people who are trained. When you do these two things, I tell you, road accident will come to an acceptable level. Zero.
Dr. Dako, finally, other countries are employing technology while we figure out how to deal with our own problem here. Do you think that having a dash cam in Ghana, for example, on our dashboards in vehicles will help solve or prevent crime? And should we make it mandatory?
Yeah, you see, at times, I am not too happy when we want to use technology to solve human problems. Some of the human problems we have to solve by the human method. Technology will help, but let's look. Technology is far expensive than human solving it through training and education. There are so many models of technology that we have embedded in vehicles that has reduced speed, because mostly about 65 to 67% of the causes of road crashes are as a result of overspeeding. So when you put speed limiter on the car, definitely it's going to limit people's way of driving, and they will conform to the 80 kilometers per hour regime. However, doing those things are quite expensive, more than training. So why don't you restore the training? And training becomes elastic. That device can work for some time. You need maintenance and service and all that for it to work effectively. But training sticks to your head forever.
Doc, finally, we've had stars die, we've had people die. I mean, in your final words, and you said you've been campaigning for a very long time, what is that one thing we have to do to change the story on our roads? Education and training. Thank you very much. Dr. Dakwa is a road safety expert. Join me to discuss accidents on our roads. You join us this evening at 8:30 for the Hotline documentary, Blood on the Highway.